Well, we are finally back after 122 days of being away from the site. We are back, and we're going to take a little tour of the property to show you guys what's going on. There's Adam. Anything to say, Adam?
We're back.
We've been, well, as you can see, it's been getting mowed still. The property does not look totally overgrown in that sense, but the trails are all overgrown, so we've got some work to do trimming the trails and getting those back in order, as you'll probably see when we're out walking about. Let's, well, here, I will put the camera around if I can. Well, maybe I can't while I'm recording. I'm just gonna have to do this, say hi, and we'll be out walking around. And here's the North Prairie, and you can see all the MSD construction still happening. They're working under the Gessling's property right now. And you can see all the beautiful blooms of Monarda, so the wild bergamot, the Verona castrum, which is the Culver's root, and there's a little bit of grayhead coneflower, false sunflower, a few other things out there blooming at the moment, but we'll go get a closer look. You can see some trees growing up, some black walnuts popping up in the prairie that we'll have to cut down. And here you can see the bees going crazy on the wild bergamot, or some people call it bee balm. And you can see why it is incredibly popular with all of our bumblebees and the eastern carpenter bee. And you'll even see some honeybees on it because we have hives nearby on a surrounding property. Probably going to see a lot more honeybees actually on the Verona castrum, the Culver's root. You can see right there. It's kind of a cloudy day. There's not going to be as many pollinators as we usually see. Ooh. And look at this guy. Adam, you want to talk about this one?
Sure. This is called Royal Catchfly. It's Silene regia. It's one of the very few bright red flowers you'll find in a tallgrass prairie situation. It's a pretty uncommon species to find in the wild, but it's becoming more common in restoration settings, and it's really nice for hummingbirds. Hummingbirds love it because you can see the tube-like flowers and the bright red color that attracts them, and also a lot of butterflies.
It's not wanting to focus. There we go. Beautiful. Stands out. For those of you like me though, sometimes it can be hard to see that because I am red-green colorblind. I can definitely see that it's red, but if it's out in the middle of a prairie, I'm not going to see it unless you point it out to me. Rattlesnake master, just starting to bloom. Beautiful. Look at all that Culver's root.
Okay. Some of you might recognize these. This is the Illinois bunch flower, the Melanthium virginianum, or virginicum. One of those two. Just say it with confidence. And previously, this was pretty much only in the far corner of the North Prairie, which is now gone. So our wonderful hort volunteers rescued a bunch before MSD came through and kind of scattered them about the other prairies. And thankfully, they've persisted. So we have a lot of these coming up. These are actually just past peak bloom. They should start going to seed soon.
Don't know if we can see any of the foliage down there. Oh yeah, we can. Those big blades there. Really interesting plant. Pardon the noise. MSD just started up something, some kind of machinery. It's kind of noisy. But here in the North Prairie, in one of these swales that runs through the prairie, you can see these tall shrubs, and those are the indigo bush. You may be wondering why you've never noticed them before like this. They're this big out in the prairie this year because this is the first year in a long time that the North Prairie has not been burned every 2 years. So this is going to be 3 years of growth on these indigo bush. But we're going to be regularly switching the burn schedule for the prairies to every 3 years, so that only one of the 3 prairies is burned every year, and rotating it that way. So any of the prairies that have indigo bush in them, they will start to be this size from here on out. And like I said earlier, the MSD project is currently working underneath the horse farm to our north in the North Prairie, at the edge of the North Prairie. And right over near that platform and crane and that big truck over there was the area that the bunch flower that Adam was just talking about that came out of that area that they're working in.
Man, you smell that? It smells real minty out here. Must be all these mountain mints we have. So yeah, all 3 species of mountain mint we have on site are in bloom right now. So first we have the slender mountain mint, Pycnanthemum tenuifolium, has these really slender grass-like leaves, hence the name. Up next we have our common mountain mint, our Pycnanthemum virginianum, which slightly thicker leaves and just a tad bit hairy, but flowers look very similar. And finally, our aptly named hairy mountain mint has the thickest leaves and the hairiest stems. And they all look pretty similar, and they all smell fantastically minty.
The bees and wasps love this. Lots of insect activity, and you can even see that there's some other insects coming to eat because so many things visit these plants. Oh, one of the babies took off. Oh, and there goes the mom. And as you can see, since we haven't been here, the trails are a little overgrown. Something we'll be getting on top of here very shortly. Because it's getting kind of hard to walk through here without getting poked by all the blackberries. And there's one common milkweed still going here. You can see some milkweed bugs there on the flower. Over on the leaf, a milkweed beetle. Some more milkweed beetles on this side. But one's still going. Most of them have finished up in the last couple weeks. Just look at all that coverage right behind it. Beautiful. The ironweeds are just starting to open for our return. One of my favorite colors on the prairie. course, that's not the most beautiful backdrop behind that one, but we're going to be living with that for a while. Here at the gardens, getting closer to the hillside of the glass house with some Liatris blooming, black-eyed Susans, even a little bit of purple coneflower in there. And lots of beautiful busy bees. Well, we're glad we're back on site to be able to at least share these videos with you guys. I just saw a monarch flying over us here. I couldn't get video of it, unfortunately. Adam was just checking out the milkweeds, and he didn't see any monarch caterpillars, unfortunately. But that was our first monarch sighting since being back. Well, I thought I would give you a little tour around the glass house real quick, just so you can see some of the stuff growing out of all the cracks and all the little nooks and crannies everywhere. These things just have been able to let grow while we've been away. And of course, with us being gone for 4 months, a lot of the horticultural landscapes that we were starting to work on last year to get de-weeded did not get weeded this spring, so they have been kind of let go. Weeds and invasive species popping up everywhere. If you noticed when we first walked down, I forgot to point it out, but there was a tree of heaven growing in one of the garden beds. Everything's just kind of overgrown at the moment. You can barely see the steps that our volunteer Bob put in, and probably most people would not want to walk down that. But there's a nice little Joe Pye weed growing in there amongst all the wing stem. Some bumblebees on it. And as you can see, the patio has lots of plants on it for Mary. She had been propagating some things so far this year, a smaller amount than normal. These are just some of those. Some of them are still in the greenhouse, but just so she could get close access to water and put them in the shade. But then lots of other things growing up around the benches. The bluebird houses that we were gifted were kept inside and were unable to get out and be put out in time for bluebirds to use them, unfortunately, this season, but we will get them hung up. A couple of wren houses as well. Let's move along here. As you can see, just everything kind of looks like, you know, post-apocalyptic world. World without humans. Look at all these critters growing. Some bee balm, or not bee balm, I'm sorry. Horse mint. That's a Ophelia hirsuta growing in the cracks of the sidewalk. And lots of plants that you would typically think might grow on like a cliffside and stuff have been going to town. Some columbine popping out of the brick here, alongside some heuchera. A good amount of these plants grown in the bricks, though. I mean, there's pachyra growing in it, columbine. A lot of this, though, is fleabane. Fleabane just everywhere. And the little bees loving it. Little sweat bees. And flower flies. Up here on the pool deck, it's probably not as bad as you would expect. It's actually not as weedy as it usually is, because we usually have to weed whip this pretty regularly to keep this maintained when all the plants are up here. But since there's no plants up here getting watered by a sprinkler system, the weeds growing in the cracks aren't as vigorous this year. So it's actually, as you can see, out where the plants would be, out where the pool used to be, there's hardly anything growing there. But over on the edges here, where there's cracks in the mortar, there's weeds all over the place. A lot of them native, a lot of them are native plants. Just because of the readily available source of seed around here from the gardens. And up here on the upper deck, lots of things growing. Here, oh, look at that. Even a purple poppy mallow growing out of the crack. Lots of stuff. Lobelia, some blue lobelia. The annual coreopsis. And purple poppy mallow blooms. It's closing up already at this point in the day. Look at all the calumet going to town that was planted last year. Again, it's in the middle of the day here, and the sun's out, just glaring, high 90s. So a lot of the flowers are closing up. Look at those Texas green eyes. The atrus growing up in the beds. Once we get the house cleaned up, we'll start focusing on some of the horticultural areas, and cleaning up the trails around the property will be a priority. But look at this, you can't even see the trails going down. Everything is just so overgrown. This trail would have off the patio leading down to our storage room is usually trimmed, multiple times throughout the beginning of the year to keep it in check. And of course now this is why you can see it is just completely overgrown by some of the more aggressive plants we have here, like tall goldenrod and wingstem. There's our bridge. And the glass house. Plant is just opening up. There you can see a European honeybee already pollinating them. And it rained last night. Let's see if I can get this to focus here. And you can see the water being held inside the leaves, giving it the cup plant name. here is our resident Carolina wren that chose to nest in the drinking fountain while we were away. I'm trying to not get too close. Mama already got scared off. She's over there. Kind of hard to see her. She's over by that far bench. But there are some babies in there. Zoom in a little bit, see if you can see. But I don't want to get too close and scare the mama off from returning to the nest now that we are back. But you can see how animals will take advantage once we are gone. I wanted to show you one of the spots that volunteers helped plant last year, where we planted a bunch of sedges and grasses. Let's see here. Hop in here. Look at that. Some St. John's wort popping up. Little seedlings in there. Lots of little sedges. But here's one in particular that's far along. You can see the fruits. This looks like it's probably Frank's sedge, Carex frankii, that volunteers planted in a plug form last year. This one actually grew to the size to where it could flower this year and set fruit, whereas a lot of the other ones are more like this little guy back here, which are just vegetative. Lots of them in throughout here. And of course, being gone for 4 months, that's a lot of invasive plant control that we missed out on. This you see here are lots of new garlic mustard, which are first year seedlings. It's a biennial plant, so it'll bloom next year, so we can still pull these. But I just wanted to show you how there's some things that we probably would have had control over by now. We missed the opportunity of pulling all the plants that were in their second year and blooming this year, and they've already dropped their seed. There's quite a few plants that we've missed the window on here at Litzsinger like this. In the prairies, we missed opportunities to treat curly dock, and early on we could probably still go in and try and spray some curly dock, but it's really buried in all the vegetation in the prairies now. Yellow rocket, which is a little annual that is spreading all across the prairies. We're gonna have a big population next year since it went to seed. Beefsteak plant is going to town right now. I'm sure a lot of you remember that one. It's in the mint family. That square stem and that very fragrant aroma when you crush the leaves or pull it. We still have the opportunity to pull a lot of this, but we missed the opportunity treating it early before a lot of vegetation came up, so we may miss some plants this year. Lots of new seedlings of bush honeysuckle came in. Oh man, all kinds of stuff. It's Japanese hops pulling time. We've got a lot of work out ahead of us, along with all the other stuff that we need to treat on site, like the winter creeper and the remaining bush honeysuckle. But we'll persevere. We'll get this stuff tackled. Oh, there's Mom and her babies again. So there's two moms that we know of. This set has the young turkeys, very young, and then there's another mother that has a group of about maybe 3 more teenage aged young turkeys, about the size of a mallard duck. So they're unfortunately walking on the path the same direction I am, so they're probably gonna think I'm chasing them if they're heading out here. But there you guys can get a better look. So it looks like she still has 5 babies. She is not happy with me, and she is wanting her kids to move. Alright, I'm gonna stop here and let them get moving. Mary!
Hi everyone. James, I really appreciate you doing this. I know the volunteers will get a kick out of it. Even though they can't see, I've got this huge smile under this mask. I hope everybody's doing good. Boy, you won't believe how much we miss you. You guys take care.
Are you glad to be back, Mary?
Am I glad to be back? Yes, I am. I was enjoying practicing retirement, but now that I'm back here on a beautiful day like today, yeah, this is just a great place to work. I'm very lucky.
Alright. Well, we'll talk to you later, volunteers. See you next
Bye,
week.
guys. Bye-bye.